birthday. Mark Victor Hansen is one of the co-authors of Chicken Soup for the Soul. He was a business partner with me for many, many years. It was him that planted the idea and the seed to create a foundation. He's very giving. All the Chicken Soup for the Soul books has a charity attached to it. And he introduced us to the concept of creating a foundation because of what he believes in. Now, Bob and I both always believed in charity, but he said it's okay to talk about it because everybody says, well, it's not okay to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about giving away money and helping other people. Well, that's not really true. Your goal is to be a role model for your family, for your children, your kids, and help them to learn and become a better person. So he had a concept that I want to talk about a little bit, which is called TEAM. And TEAM stands for together, everyone achieves more. Now, how does that all work? Well, people are saying, well, how does that work? Well, it's very, very simple. Most people don't realize it, but 1 plus 1, is it possible? Let me just ask you, can you make 1 plus 1 equal, what does it equal now? Well, it equals 2, right? 1 plus 1 equals 2. Well, that's not really the way it is. The fact is 1 plus 1 can equal 3. 1 plus 1 can equal 3. And that is because you create a team. Your job is to create a team and to be a part of a team. Your net worth, guys, your net worth is the average of the 10 people that you hang out with. This is you right there. You have some that make more, some that make less. The money that you make, the network that you have, the influence that you have is the average of the 10 people you spend your time with. So what you want to do is you want to create a team and you want to have everybody get elevated. You work together to get everyone elevated. You work and find other members of your team that are doing better than you. We want you to play against other people that are better than you. When I was in high school, I was on the tennis team, and I got a chance to play in a tournament, and I played this young man that was about as good as I was, and I just barely beat him by a little bit, and it wasn't a very good game, and I finally beat him, and then I got to play a young guy that was ranked in the top 10 in the nation for our age group. And you know what? I did not win one game, but it was the best match I've ever played because I played with a guy that was better than me. You always want to play with people better than you. So this is why you create a team. You find other members of your team that are doing better than you, and you can make that all work. Now, why do you create a team? Well, how do you make 1 plus 1 equal 1 plus 1 equal 3? The biggest part of that is the 80-20 rule. Now, what is the 80-20 rule? It says 20% of what you do gets you 80% of your results. 20% of what you do gets you 80% of your results. Now, if you wanted to make that work, the question is, what is the 10% of the things you do that get you 90% of your results? What are the things that you can do better than other people? If you spend 18 minutes a day studying something, you will know more. 18 minutes a day. That's 100 hours a year. You will know more than 95% of the people in the world. If you spend 18 minutes a day, you will know more than 95% of the people in the world. If you work on something 18 minutes a day, you'll do better than 95% of the people in the world. So going back to this part right here, where are you spending your time and what are you doing with that time? So Steve Jobs had a piece where he calls it a signal or a target versus noise. Target versus noise. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that he spends his time, you got this target, and there's your target right there. And then all this other stuff is noise. And his job is to spend 100% of his time concentrating on that piece right there. So his 80-20, 20% of what he did is actually like 10% of what he did equals 90% of his results. And then the next question is, how much time are you spending going after that target? Versus how much of that time are you spending doing stupid things that are not against that target? The noise. What is the noise? What is the noise? Noise is TikTok. Noise is doing things that you shouldn't be doing that are not helping you get where you want to go. Now, he was famous for spending his time going after that bullseye. And he created a team. So Steve Wozniak, Steve W., and Steve Jobs created Apple. But they created a team by adding Tim Cook. Steve Jobs did not build the iPhone. Steve Jobs wasn't even a programmer, but he was great at marketing. Steve Wozniak was the programmer. Steve Wozniak was the one who created the technology. It was Steve Jobs. Wozniak was the programmer. Jobs was the marketer. And they worked together. And then when Steve Jobs passed away, Tim Cook took his place. Walt Disney. Walt Disney did not build Disneyland. Walt and his brother Roy Disney built Disneyland. And they didn't build Disneyland. They built a team. Walt didn't even draw Mickey. He did some really crude versions of Mickey, but it was another guy who actually created Mickey that built it and made it into a much nicer. And his guy's name was iWorks. But Walt and Roy built a team, and then when Walt passed away, Roy took his place, and they created new members of the team, and they added new members of the team. Okay, the McDonald's brothers. The McDonald's brothers, Dick and Mac McDonald's. They were a team, and that team created a system. The system was called the Speedy System. And their whole goal was from when you walked in to getting your order within 60 seconds. And they spent their time building that. The problem was they didn't know how to duplicate it. So the other member of the team, which is Ray Kroc, came in and he says, I'm going to duplicate that. So these guys worked together as a team. These guys worked on the system. This guy worked on the duplication of the system. It was a team. When I worked very closely with Robert Allen, Robert Allen is a great friend and mentor. And I learned a ton from Robert Allen. And he was an incredible writer. He created systems of content, books, and classes. And guess what? He spent his time creating those things. Tom comes in here, and what's Tom do? Tom duplicates his systems, duplicates and markets those systems. And I spent 100% of my time marketing his stuff. And he spent 100% of his time creating systems and speaking and stuff like that. We were a wonderful team, and that's how we build it. Right now in the foundation, you've got a small team here that's doing global work. How does that work? Well, you got Tom here, who's a 66-year-old guy that's got 50 years. Man, that's terrible. I can't even believe I got that much in there. He's got 50 years of experience. You got Ethan, that is an incredible programmer and systems guy. You've got Josh, that's all the graphics. All the beautiful graphics you see is all that. Now, could I have taken my time and learned how to do Ethan's job? Could I go to school and learn how to be a programmer and do it all myself? Sure, but it wouldn't be very good. Could Ethan spend the next 40 years of his life and learn and have the experiences I have had and teach it himself? Yeah, he could. It doesn't make sense. Josh, incredible graphics. Could I learn how to do graphics? Yes, but it's not what I do. What does Josh do? He spends 100% of his time building great systems for the foundation. What does Ethan do? He spends the vast majority of his time building systems. So that's why we have a great team. Now, how do we take it worldwide? We add extra worldwide team. That's why you got Daryl and Kath. You've got Johnson and Mehdi. And of course, you have Ryan and Hannah. And they help us take this worldwide because the stuff that they do, we can't do from here. So we've created a team. So the word team, you have to create your team. Now, so why are we so nutsoid about creating your team? Because if you do this by yourself, you'll do 1x. If you do it together, you'll do 3x. And in some cases, you'll do 5x. So when I started doing a lot of my real estate, I needed to learn how to do it. So what did I do? I read books. I went to classes. I hung out with other mentors. I searched them out. I found out what problems they had and I asked, what can I do to help you with your problem? Because all successful people, all they do is look at problems and solve problems. And so Bob Allen, he was creating all this wonderful material. And he became a great mentor of mine. I knocked on his office door and went back consistently week after week trying to get a job. Not because I wanted a freaking job. I wanted to hang out with guys doing it. And once I got a chance to meet with Bob, then I got a chance to meet with Wade and with Nick. Nick bought and sold 1,100 houses. This is a player. That was a guy that I wanted to hang out with, and I've learned from him. Okay. So now I started with books. I started with classes. I got mentored by other people doing it. And then I started buying and selling properties and doing it. And then I got to the point where I brought in Philip. I brought in my team and he found them. He found the deals. And I bought and sold houses that I never saw, that I never looked at, because we had the system down so well. That's where you guys are going. There's 7 steps, there's 7 habits that you've got to do. Where are you spending your time? Now, most people think, well, there's 7 habits, I'm going to spend them evenly. No, your job, number 1, is to make more money. That's where you're going to spend the vast majority of your time. Number 2 is to separate it. That's quick. Number 3 is to give, automatically give. Number 4, why do we call it autopilot? Why do we call it automatic? Because when we invest in the 500 biggest companies in America that are global, these are worldwide, okay? They do all the time. I don't spend my time. Where am I spending my time? Right there. Make more money, make more money, make more money, make more money, make more money. That's where I'm spending my time. And then this one, I don't spend hardly any time at all because they're doing it all. And then number 5 is to save and spend. Your goal is to figure out how to get as much money from here down to there. Your job is to get it right there. Now, if you'll do these first 5 things, it will help you to be financially free. You can be financially free with those first 5 things. But we need number 6. We want you to be wealthy. We want you to have a bigger impact. Guys, you got to have a bigger impact. You're going to scale it. You're going to nail how you're doing it. And then you're going to scale it. How do we simplify? McDonald's created the simplest systems. When they did their math, they figured out that over 85, 87% of all their sales was hamburgers, fries, shakes, and drinks. Well, then why are we serving chicken? Why are we serving tamales? Why are we doing all this other stuff? Why are we delivering on plates? Why, forget all that. What are the things? What are the things that we do? And then we all simplify and then we multiply it. Number 6, you got to get into your real estate. I don't care if you just buy one good property a year. And I don't care if you flip it or farm it. I just want you to get in the game. Okay. Now I got to doing a lot more than that. Okay. But I want you to start doing that real estate. We want you to have some real estate. We want you to own your own home. And then we want you to have some rentals. And then most importantly, we want you to flip. I made chunks of money flipping real estate. For the hours I was there, I made massive amount of money compared to working a job. So this is where you're going to get wealthy, is real estate. The next thing is you got to turn your small business. We're going to take our small business. A small business is just a job. It's a job. You know what job stands for? Just over broke. That's what a job gets you. Just over broke. Now you need to have a job to survive. I get that. There's nothing wrong with that. I've had jobs and I continue to live off that money. But we take 10, 15, 20% of that job money and we get it into automatically investing. But the way that we've built our wealth, is in number 6. We took that small business, which is basically a job, and turned it into a large business. There's only 3 things you got to do. Number 1, you need more customers. You need more customers. Number 2, you need to get them to buy more. To buy more. And number 3, to buy more often. That's how you're going to take your small business and turn it into a large business. Now, the cream of the crop, number 7. Number 7 and number 4 are very similar, but this is the wealth formula. When I was a kid, I was helping my dad scrape the old paint off the house that was next door to where I lived. It was hot. I wasn't having any fun. I says, Dad, can I get paid for doing this? And he goes, no, son, get back to work. I was one of 10 kids. Number 7. I got the gumption to ask him later, Dad, are you sure I can't get paid for doing all this? And he goes, son, we bought this property so we'd have some extra money to put you kids through college. Well, I didn't really care about college as an early teen. And then he said something to me I'll never forget. He said, son, do you know some people make so much money off of their real estate and their businesses and investments, they don't have a job. All they do is manage those things. Now, can you imagine a dad not only telling his son that, but living that? And I had a role model to follow. My dad's 4 days older than Warren Buffett. My dad is a mini Warren Buffett. He didn't make the kind of zeros that Warren Buffett made and the money that he made, but he taught me the same kind of principles. So that's number 7. That's where I want you to go. Number 7, I want you to get money from your job. I want you to get money from your real estate. I want you to get money from your business. I want you to do all 3 of those things. I want you to put money away every week, every month, every time you make money. I don't care if it's pesos, UN, whatever it is, times. It's got to go up in value. You can't just sit on it and put it in the checking account and make the bank rich. If you put all your money in the bank, you're making the bank rich. Get off of that. That's not going to happen. Why do you think Warren Buffett invests in banks? Because they make a lot of money. All right. Times time. We've got to get going and get started at an earlier age or live a long time. Now that equals wealth. Now the key to this is the compounding. Now there's 2 ways that we can really compound stuff. The problem is that the governments of the world can't balance their budgets. The governments of the world can't balance their budgets. So what do? They simply borrow more money and print more money. There's nothing backing it. When Richard Nixon was in office, everything was backed by gold. He took us off that gold standard. And the only thing that it's backing that dollar bill is the good faith that the United States is going to pay it. Well, how are they going to pay it? They're going to print more of it. So why are things more expensive? Because governments are just printing more money. They're printing more money. And as they print more money, more things become worthless. Now, if you don't own anything, if you're just paying rent, food and everything else is costing more. It's inflation, and it's costing you more. You have to make more money to keep up and beat inflation. But if you own assets that go up in value, the stocks that you own, the businesses that you own, the real estate that you own, those are assets that keep up with inflation. In fact, they go beat it, and that's called appreciation. So we appreciate it because we make more money. The rich are getting richer, the wealthy people are getting wealthier because they do things that other people don't do. So let's don't do that. Let's figure out what they do and then do this and make it work for you. Okay. So that's it right there. There's the 7 steps. That's what you got to do, guys. It's right there. The 7 steps. And you got to spend your time. Now, where are you spending your stinking time? I'm going to spend my time in making more money with number 1 and basically number 6. The rest of the stuff, I'm turning on autopilot. The save and spend, I'm not spending a ton of time figuring out how to save a little bit of money. I'm spending more time making more money. If you buy a property and you spend all your time mowing the lawn, you get paid like some kid mowing the lawn. If you spend your time looking for deals, then you get paid like an investor. If you spend your time loaning money, doing joint ventures on deals, you get paid like somebody doing that. Okay. Doctors make more money when they do surgery than when they do house calls. Doctors make more than nurses, who make more than the receptionist, who make more money than the janitor, because the doctor solves a bigger problem. Number 1 is to make more money. 3 things you've got to do to make more money. 3 things to make more money. Make more money. The 3 M's. You got to solve problems. Go look for problems. There's problems everywhere. Now, the problem might be, how do I make this faster, quicker? How do I simplify? How do the McDonald's brothers find a problem out there and fix it? You got to solve problems. Number 2 is you got to add value. You need to be more valuable than the guy that you're competing against. You need to create more value. And you need to study successful people. And we do that by studying successful people, guys. That's the system. That's what you need if you want to be successful. Now, if you really want to be successful in life, you got to create a team. Walt and Roy Disney were a team. The McDonald's brothers and Ray Kroc were a team. Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak was a team. Myself and Robert Allen, we're a great team. You got to create a team. Why do we have you enroll family and friends? Because they're part of your team. 1 + 1 can equal 3 if you're working together, if you're competing together. Because these 2 horses, one horse could pull 1,200, a second horse could pull 1,200, but together they get momentum. They spend time and they get momentum. When you can spend your time doing that 20% that gets you 80% of your results, and then you spend all your time there, that's how you make it work. That's why we don't have you trade. That's why we don't spend the time going out and then step 4, trading. Number 1, you pick and choose, you lose, because you don't have dang time. It's eating up your time. That's why we just put it in the 500 biggest companies in America that are worldwide, because they're better at it than you are. They're spending all their time doing that. I'm just betting on them. Or you betting on Berkshire Hathaway because I love them, because there's no cost, there's no fees. And they've outproduced the S&P 500 over time. Spend your time making more money. Spend your time in number 1. That's where you're going to make it. Spend your time in number 6. And then put these others passively. And don't spend all your time trying to figure out where every penny's going on number 5 on your save. Go to cash. Now, if you'll simply figure out how to get 10, 15, 20% of your money from your job into your automatically investing, whatever's left over, you'll figure out how to live off of. It just works that way. And don't get involved with credit cards because that's just a distraction. That's noise. What we want to do is we want you to find what works for you and spend that time doing that. So the reason that the foundation works is because we have a team. We have a team of people that are working. The way that you'll be successful is when you create a team. And when you do classes together, 1 + 1 = 3 because of the teamwork, because of the competition. Yes, we're a competitive bunch. That's why we created these leaderboards, because we know that 1 + 1 = 3. You'll do 3 times more and have 3 times more success if you do this versus other people. You don't have to do deals together, guys. I'm not telling you to go do a deal together. I'm not telling you build a company together or do real estate together. If you do, just do it deal by deal. I'm telling you that for learning how to be successful, get your team together, and then from there, you'll be more successful. Get competitive, cheer each other on, help each other, learn from each other, and then your net worth is the average of the 10 people you hang out with. So let's go figure out how to go find new people to hang out with, different circles to hang out with, because that will increase your net worth. Guys, make a difference. This is how you fix it, guys. This is how you fix it. The systems are there. All we have to do is teach people how to do it. But more importantly, motivate them, help them, celebrate with them on their little successes. You'll notice that's why we have the 7 steps. We also have the 101 detailed steps. And there's lots of little steps you can do. And I don't care if you're successful or you fail when you try something. I just care that you tried it and you learn from it, and then you keep going at it. And there's another big thing that I want to teach about, and that is don't look backwards. Learn from what you just learned. Learn from your mistakes, but don't look back on them. Learn from them, but don't go back on them. They've looked at basketball players, and the one mindset that they had was they thought about the next shot that they were going to take or the next assist that they were going to make. If they had a bad experience and threw it out of bounds or missed the shot or whatever it was, they forget about it that fast. They just forget about it. What's the next thing? What's the next thing I can fix? What's the next thing I can make work? Great tennis players. Great tennis players only win a handful more points than the loser. But the great ones did a program, they did the product right there, they did the play, and then they learn from it, and then they make it better on the next one. That's what your job is, guys. You want to get out of poverty? You want to get out of debt? You want to have a better life? Do you want your children to have a better life? Your team is your children. We're only doing this for your kids. We're not doing, we want you to do it, but your kids are not going to learn if they're trying to learn from a book. They're not going to learn from the broke school district that's trying to teach them something. They're going to learn from successful people. We want you to be that model. The kids are not going to learn from you doing stupid things. You can't tell them to do one thing and then expect them to do something else. They're going to follow what you do. Your job is to be that example. So guys, that's the system. That's what we need. That's how you make it work. You're doing great. You're on the path, guys. You're on the path. I've been up and down this path for 50 plus years. There's lots of potholes and there's distractions and there's noise, but it doesn't matter. You're on the right path, guys. You're on the right path. You're going the right direction. Now we need to put a little more gas in the engine. We need to get you a little faster engine, and we need to get you on a bus with other people, and you can work together, guys. That's the key. Thanks for watching, everybody.